The stars over Delaros shimmered like frozen sparks in the night sky. Moonlight poured down over the crystal garden, lighting every smooth stone and glowing vine. The peace meeting was supposed to be simple, clean, safe, but nothing was simple. When it involved humans and Del, Carter stood near the edge of a glowing pond, his translator earpiece softly buzzing. He was Earth's lead diplomat, experienced and trained for cross-species communication. But tonight was different. Tonight, he was alone with the Delary princess. Princess Alari walked toward him in silence, her long white robe flowing. Over the crystal grass, her skin was pale blue, eyes silver like soft metal. She moved with slow grace, elegant and unshaken, but inside, she was nervous. "This meeting is special," Alari said, her voice filtered through the translator. On Carter's ear, Carter smiled politely. "Special in what way?" The translator buzzed again. "Tonight, I offer you a part of me to show peace between us." Carter blinked. "A part of you?" The translator confirmed. "A ceremonial offer of unity." He nodded slowly. That made sense. Maybe a shared drink, a chant, or even a symbolic touch. Delari customs were ancient and strange, but harmless. "Usually I am ready," he said calmly. Alari's translator device. A thin golden circle clipped behind her ear, flickered. She stepped closer, eyes lowered. "You know our rituals," she said softly, "so you know what I offer must be." "Taken," Carter heard. "So you know what I offer must be accepted as mating." He froze for half a second, thinking the translator glitched. Mating? That couldn't be right. She stepped closer. "Do you accept my trust?" The device translated, "Do you accept my body?" Carter's heart skipped. He looked at her expression, peaceful, respectful, almost shy. She didn't look like someone trying to seduce him. He cleared his throat. "Princess, I respect your eye." "Am no longer princess here?" she interrupted gently. "Here I am only Alari." She reached up, slowly removing the crystal band around her forehead, her royal crest. Her shoulders rose and fell with a nervous breath. Carter felt sweat forming at the back of his neck. This wasn't going how he expected. "Are we performing?" "The trust ritual?" he asked carefully. "Yes," she answered. "As our ancestors once did when joining spirits?" Translator buzzed. "Yes, as our ancestors did before sharing their virgin fire." Carter's eyes widened. "Virgin fire?" Ilari tilted her head. "It is sacred to us." "Why?" He looked down at the translator screen on his wrist. The Delari word for spirit unity was being matched to mating ceremony. The word bond was being matched to consummation. Something was wrong. Very wrong, but Alari continued. She stepped barefoot onto the moonlit stones between them, her robe sliding down one shoulder. Her voice was steady now, calm like water. "We do not need many words, just acceptance." Carter raised his hands quickly. "Wait, Alari, I think the translation is off. I think you mean trust, not—" She touched his lips with a finger. "Do not fear," she said softly. The translator buzzed one final time. "Do not fear. I give you all of me." Carter's heart pounded. Was this real? He took a step back. "Ilari, are you sure this is part of the treaty?" She frowned just a little. "You do not want me." The hurt in her voice hit him hard. "I didn't say that," he whispered. She dropped her eyes. "Then take what I offer. This is tradition, as you promised." Carter scanned the translator logs quickly. The phrase she said earlier, "Meet-a-loon," was mistranslated as consummation, right? But in ancient Delari, it also meant trust pact. His mind raced. He realized too late that Alari wasn't trying to seduce him. She was trying to honor a ritual of peace. But the translator failed. And now she believed he had already agreed to take her body. Ilari knelt before him, placing her royal crest between them. "I am yours now," she whispered. "Wait," her voice trembling. Carter took one step forward, and then the translator sparked. Static hissed in his ear. Device shut down completely. The garden fell into silence. Ilari looked up at him waiting, and Carter stood frozen, heart racing, unable to speak, unable to hear. No translation, No words only, to people staring at each other across a mistake that could change their worlds. Carter just didn't move. The soft hum of the garden's crystals faded under the weight of silence. The translator device had powered down. No blinking light, no buzz, no safety net. He was now standing in the middle of an ancient ritual, with a woman who thought he had agreed to something he hadn't even fully understood. Ilari stared up at him from the ground, the silver of her eyes reflecting starlight. Her face showed no anger, no fear, only calm acceptance. Carter slowly reached for his translator, tapping it, hoping it might restart. Nothing dead. He opened his mouth, trying to form the only Delari words he had learned by heart. No. Harm, no. Shame. But his accent was clumsy. The syllables sounded wrong even to his own ears. Ilari blinked once, tilting her head. Her face changed just slightly. A flicker of confusion. Carter gently lowered himself to one knee, keeping his hands open, palms up. He placed the broken translator between them on the smooth stone floor. Then, slowly, he pushed it toward her. Her eyes fell on the device. Her fingers hovered above it, but she didn't touch it. Instead, she looked up at him again, searching his face. He didn't know what else to do. He couldn't explain the mistake, couldn't tell her the words had failed. He only had body language left. He raised both hands, placed one flat against his heart, then pointed toward her. He whispered, "Respect." Though he wasn't sure she'd understand the word without the device, Ilari's lips parted just slightly. She stood. The robe she wore still hung from her shoulders, but now it clung loosely, swaying with each step. Her bare feet didn't make a sound on the stone. When she moved forward and reached out, her fingers brushed Carter's jaw. She looked down at the crest she had placed between them, the symbol of her title, now set aside. Then she whispered a single word. He didn't know what it meant, but her voice was soft, uncertain, like someone realizing a mistake or revealing a secret. Then her expression shifted. Something had clicked in her mind. She stepped back. Her breathing grew faster. Her gaze moved to the broken translator, then back to Carter. Her hand rose, trembling slightly, as if a chill had passed through her body. She spoke again, this time in her language, without trying to match her words to his. He didn't understand, but he saw the realization in her eyes. He saw the truth land. Her face turned pale blue, fading into a cold shade of white. Ilari stepped back again. One step, then another. Carter stood slowly, careful not to make any sudden movements. "It was not your fault," he said, gently. "It's the device. It lied to both of us." She didn't need a translator to understand the tone of his voice. But her pride, her honor had already been touched. Suddenly, two shadows moved at the edge of the garden. Delari guards. They had seen everything. Ilari turned to them, shouted a command. Her voice echoed through the garden, sharp and strong. The guards paused, confused. She said something again, louder this time. They lowered their weapons and waited at a distance. Then she looked back at Carter. Her voice, when it returned, was no longer gentle. She pointed at him, then at herself, then at the royal crest on the ground. He understood to her people. That crest given in ceremony meant she had offered herself. But now, with no true mating, no translator logs to prove otherwise, her honor was in question. She had broken ancient law, and so had he. Ilari knelt, picked up the crest, and held it to her chest like it was made of fire. Then she whispered one more thing. This time, her eyes locked with his, and a single tear fell down her cheek. Carter stepped forward, not sure what to do. She turned her back to him and walked toward the guards. He tried calling her name, Ilari. He said again, louder. She didn't stop, but one guard turned his head briefly, giving Carter a strange look, a mix of sympathy and accusation. Carter was left standing alone in the moonlight. No translator, no answers, and no idea how badly the damage had already been done. 2 days had passed since the garden incident, but for Carter, it felt like a lifetime. The ship sent to escort him home had docked in Delarue's orbit, but he had not stepped aboard. Instead, He paced the cold stone halls of the guest tower, monitored by two silent Dalari guards at all times. No translator. No answers. The human embassy demanded his return. His orders were clear: withdraw before this diplomatic situation exploded. But Carter couldn't leave. Not yet. Not until he saw her again. He sat at the edge of the room's glass wall, watching a rain of light fall outside, silver particles drifting down from the sky, dissolving before they touched the ground. This planet always looked beautiful, even when its people were ready to destroy everything. A soft knock at the stone door broke the silence. One guard entered, holding a message tablet. No words, just a flicker of text in Dalari glyphs and a single translated line below. The council has summoned the human for explanation. He must speak without translator. Carter stood up slowly. Wiping his hands against his pants, he took a deep breath. He didn't know enough Dalari to survive a council meeting, but he knew enough to try. The doors to the council chamber opened with a heavy groan. Inside sat 7 Dalari elders, their faces still as stone, eyes cold and quiet. Beside them stood Alari. She looked different. Her hair was tied back in ceremonial braids, and her robe had changed from soft white to harsh gray. Her royal crest was gone. Her eyes met Carter's and quickly turned away. One elder spoke, her voice low and steady. Carter waited for the translated text on the tablet. It blinked to life. The princess performed the bonding gesture. She removed her crest. The human did not fulfill the rite. Why? He stepped forward, heart pounding. There was a misunderstanding. The translator had failed. The tablet struggled to keep up. His words became short fragments, device error, misspoke ritual meanings. Human confused. Another elder leaned forward. His expression was harder, sharper. Do you say the princess acted without knowledge? Carter shook his head. No, she believed what I did, but the meaning was wrong. She thought I agreed. I didn't understand, but I respect her. The translation flickered, then showed. The human says, respect, not dishonor. Both were misled. Every elder seemed to breathe at once, like a single creature. Ilari stepped forward now, lifting her hand to speak. The room quieted. She began to speak in Dalari, her voice strong at first, but then it shook. Carter didn't need translation to understand pain. He watched her eyes as she spoke. They glistened, not from weakness, but from something deeper. She wasn't angry anymore. She was ashamed. She pointed at herself, at Carter, then at the royal crest placed on a black silk cloth near the council's platform. Then she said one word, loud. Final. The tablet blinked once. Exile. Carter's heart dropped. The elders rose as one. Their decision was made. Ilari bowed her head, then turned toward Carter. Their eyes locked again. For a moment, nothing else existed. He stepped forward, ignoring the guards who raised their weapons. No, he said. Wait, please. He placed one hand on his chest, then extended it toward her Dalari gesture for shared burden. I go with her, he said. The council stirred, confused. The translation tablet buzzed again, the human volunteer's exile. Gasps filled the chamber. Carter kept his eyes on Ilari. You gave me your trust. You lost your name for me. Let me lose something for you. Larry's lips parted, but no words came. One elder spoke again, slowly. Exile is sacred. No return, no rank, no title, no place among your kind or ours. Carter nodded. Then I belong nowhere. With her, a long silence fell. Ilari took a breath, stepped down from the platform, and stood beside Carter. They didn't touch, but in that moment, something between them clicked. No translator, no speeches, just silence and meaning, the council agreed. To their departure at first light, back in the holding chamber, Carter sat with a heavy heart. But he felt something different now. Not shame, not fear. Purpose. The door opened once more. This time, Larry entered. Alone, she held something in her hand, his his old translator, now cracked and flickering. She placed it beside him, then said softly, "In English, you, stayed." Carter looked up in shock. "You learned." She nodded slowly. "A little. I listened. I remembered. Your voice." His eyes widened. Ilari sat beside him, not touching him, just watching the flickering screen of the broken device. "Next time," she whispered, "no machine. Only truth." And in that quiet room filled with old stone and fading honor, the first real bond between them finally began. No translator needed asterisk the next morning. The sun rose pale and cold over Delarue. Carter and Ilari stood side by side in the small docking bay. The heavy doors opened, revealing the exile ship waiting for them, a sleek vessel designed for travel but stripped of all luxury. This was their new home, their prison, and the beginning of an uncertain journey. Ilari looked at the ship without fear. Her silver eyes shone with a strange calmness. Carter watched her quietly. The weight of what lay ahead pressed down on him, but he was determined. A guard approached and spoke quickly in Ilari. Carter understood enough to hear the words, "This exile means you lose your name, your place, and all rights on Delaris. You are strangers forever." Illyri's face remained steady. "Except," she said in clear English, surprising Carter. "Better to lose a world than lose honor." Carter nodded. "Dada, and I will be your protector. You will not face this alone." "Da-da-da-da-da." Guard frowned, but said nothing more. He stepped aside, allowing them to board. Inside the ship, the cold metal walls hummed softly. The small room was simple: 2 beds, a table, and a window showing the vast stars outside. The silence between them felt heavy. Ilari sat on one bed, her hands folded tightly in her lap. Carter stood by the window, staring out into space. After a long moment, he turned. "I'm sorry for the translator. I should have tested it more." She shook her head. "No, we trusted it too much. We forgot that machines cannot understand the heart." Carter walked over and sat on the edge of her bed. "Tell me about your world, your people. Maybe I can understand better." Ilari looked at him. "Delari are proud. We live by rules older than stars. Our words carry weight. One gesture can mean peace or war." She paused, then whispered, "I wanted to trust you, to show you my world without fear." Carter nodded slowly. "I want that too." Their eyes met. For a moment, the distance between them disappeared. Days passed as the ship traveled through empty space. They learned to speak slowly, sharing simple words and gestures. Ilari taught Carter the meaning behind each symbol she wore. Carter showed her human stories, tales of hope and struggle. One night, as the ship drifted near a small forest moon, Ilari woke to a sound of soft humming near the door. She found Carter standing there, holding a small device glowing softly. It was a new translator, rebuilt and tested. "I made it better," he said. "No mistakes this time." She smiled faintly, a light breaking through her calm. Together they sat and tried the device. Words flowed between them, clear and true. For the first time, they shared a real conversation, without fear of misunderstanding. But peace did not last. Suddenly, alarms blared. The ship shook violently. Carter grabbed Ilari's hand. "Hold on." Outside the window, dark shapes moved fast. Ilari patrol ships. The elders had sent forces to retrieve Ilari, but this time, she was not alone. As the ship jumped into faster space, Carter whispered, "They will not take you back." Ilari squeezed his hand, her voice strong. "Then we fight together." In the darkness of space, 2 souls bound by trust, prepared for a battle that would decide not just their fate, but the future of 2 worlds. The small exile ship darted through the cold darkness, its engines humming low but steady. Outside, Delaria patrol ships closed in fast, their weapons ready. Carter gripped the controls, sweat on his brow, eyes sharp and focused. Ilar stood beside him, steady but alert, her hands clenched in determination. "We need to lose them," Carter said, voice low but urgent. Ilari nodded. "There is a moon ahead, dense forest, many caves, we can hide. Carter smiled faintly. Good plan. As the patrol ships fired warning lasers, the exile ship dropped out of faster space and dove toward the moon. The stars blurred, replaced by swirling green and brown below. The ship shuddered violently as it entered the atmosphere. Lightning cracked across the sky, thunder roaring in the distance. Carter fought the controls, guiding the ship through jagged cliffs and towering trees. Ilari watched the screens, helping spot patrol ships on their radar. We're close, she said. We can hide in the caves near the old riverbed. The ship landed roughly but safely at the edge of the forest. Carter powered down the engines. As quickly as possible, the alarm stopped. Outside, the air was thick and wet. Rain began to fall softly, tapping on the ship's hull. Carter opened the door, stepping out cautiously. Ilari followed, her feet barely making a sound on the soft moss. They moved fast, disappearing into the shadows of giant trees. The patrol ships would search the landing site, but the dense forest would protect them. Hours passed as they trekked, through the wild, strange sounds echoing around them, calls of unseen creatures. Wind through the leaves, the distant crash of waterfalls. Ilari stopped suddenly. She knelt, touching the ground. This is sacred land, she whispered. Our ancestors hid here during wars long ago. Carter looked at her. Then it is perfect. They found the entrance to a hidden cave, dark and cool, inside crystals. Glowed faintly, casting soft light on the walls. The air smelled fresh and clean. Ilari turned to Carter. We must stay quiet. The patrols will be close. He nodded, then pulled out a small pack. I have food and water. Not much, but enough for now. Ilari smiled briefly, touched by his kindness. Days passed in silence, broken only by whispers and the sounds of the forest outside. Carter and Ilari learned to live together in the cave, sharing stories, teaching each other words, slowly building a fragile trust. One evening, near a small fire, Carter looked at Ilari's face lit by flames. He saw strength and sadness, hope and fear all mixed together. Ilari, he said softly, I will protect you, no matter what. She reached out, taking his hand in hers, and I will stand by you, together. Their hands stayed joined, a simple promise stronger than words. But the peace was fragile. On the fifth night, distant voices echoed through the trees. Ilari patrols again. Searching. Carter and Ilari hurried to hide deeper in the caves. Shadows. The patrols moved slowly, calling out her name, their voices rough with anger and confusion. Suddenly, patrol captain stepped into the cave entrance. A tall warrior with silver tattoos. Marking his rank, he saw Carter and Ilari and raised his weapon. Carter stepped forward, hands raised. I am here willingly, he said firmly. Ilari is under my protection, the captain snarled. You defy the laws of Dolaris. The princess must return. Ilari's voice was calm but strong. I choose exile. I choose him. The captain laughed cruelly. You choose death. Suddenly Carter moved with surprising speed. He grabbed a fallen crystal shard and held it like a blade. I won't let you take her, he said. A fierce fight broke out, flashes of light and clashing metal. Ilari watched, heart pounding, as Carter fought not just for her, but for both their futures. When the patrols finally retreated, wounded and angry, Carter turned to Ilari. We won this time, he said, breathing hard. She smiled through tears. Then we fight on, together. In that moment they became more than allies. They became something rare, team, bound not by law or ritual, but by choice and courage. And in the dark cave, with rain tapping softly above, a new hope was born. The days in the cave grew longer and heavier. The quiet moments between storms gave way to tense conversations and restless nights. Carter and Ilari sat near the glowing crystals, their faces soft in the low light, but their minds sharp with worry. Ilari traced patterns on the cave wall, ancient symbols of her people, while Carter studied the stars through a narrow crack in the rock. The council will not stop, she said quietly. They see our bond as a crime. My exile is not enough. Soon they will send more hunters. Carter's jaw tightened. Yeah. Then we need to prepare. We can't run forever, Ilari nodded. There is something you must know. Something I did. Not tell you? She looked down, folding her hands tightly. When I touched you in the garden, and you did not understand, the bond was made. Not by law alone, but by ancient tradition. Carter frowned. What kind of tradition? She met his eyes, steady and clear. If a virgin princess gives herself to a human in exile, she creates a soul link. It cannot be broken by anyone, not even the council. The link binds us, protector and mate. Carter's heart stopped. Mate, she smiled softly. Yes. But it is not just about love or desire. It is a sacred promise to protect each other until death. He swallowed hard. The weight of the truth pressed on him like a mountain. We are bound, Ilari said. In eyes of our people, we are one. Silence fell. Carter's mind raced. This changed everything. Outside the cave, the forest whispered with the wind. Danger was near. Suddenly, a soft glow lit the entrance. Figures cloaked in dark robes approached council enforcers. Led by the silver-tattooed captain, Ilari stood, calm but fierce. Carter stepped forward, ready to defend. The captain spoke coldly. Princess, the link is real. You belong to us again. Return with us, or be taken by force. Ilari's voice rang out. I refuse. The link binds me to the human. We will not be separated. The captain's eyes narrowed. Then we will see if your bond is stronger than the laws of Delaros. With a sudden motion, the enforcers lunged forward. Carter and Ilari fought side by side. Their movements were sensed his strength and her agility a perfect match. Ilari's hands glowed faintly with ancient energy, a gift of her people's heritage. She struck with precision, creating shields of light to protect them. Carter wielded a crystal blade, its edge shimmering as it clashed with metal weapons. The battle was fierce and long. Each strike tested their resolve, their trust, and their growing love. At one moment, Carter shielded Ilari from a powerful blow, taking the hit himself. Pain shot through his side, but he smiled through the agony. You protect me, Ilari whispered. And I will, he replied, his voice steady despite the pain. The enforcers, seeing their strength, finally retreated, leaving Carter and Ilari standing, exhausted but unbroken. As silence returned, Ilari collapsed into Carter's arms. He held her tightly, their breaths mingling. We are stronger together, she said. Yes, he agreed, no matter what comes. Outside, the storm cleared. The moon shone bright, casting silver light over the cave entrance in the quiet. Night, two souls linked by fate and choice prepared to face a future uncertain, but united asterisk. The days grew warmer as the exile ship finally left the shadow of the wild forest moon. Carter and Ilari stood on the small deck, watching stars swirl past like silent witnesses to their journey. The battle with the council had changed everything. The elders could no longer deny the power of the soul link. The ancient laws were challenged by something new, a bond made not just by tradition, but by trust and choice. But peace was still far away. A message came through the ship's comm system. The council sent envoys to meet them, not as enemies, but as negotiators. Ilari looked at Carter, her silver eyes full of hope and caution. And this could be the chance to end the exile, to restore what was lost. Carter squeezed her hand gently. Together, we will make them see. Meeting took place on a neutral station, a place of glass and steel, where light reflected off every surface. The council envoys were waiting, their faces serious, but respectful. Ilari stepped forward, dressed in a simple robe that still carried the mark of her people's honor. Carter stood beside her, calm and steady. The lead envoy spoke first. Princess. Ilari, human Carter, your exile and fight have reached us. The soul link you share is... unexpected. Ilari nodded. It is real. It cannot be broken by law or force. It binds us as protector and mate in heart and spirit. Carter added, "This bond represents a new way for our peoples to understand each other. It is built on respect, trust, and shared courage." The envoys exchanged looks. Then slowly, one of the elders stepped forward. "We have watched your journey, the mistakes, the battles, and the strength you both showed. We are ready to accept the Soul Link as a new tradition." A murmur ran through the council chamber. Ilari's heart soared. She looked at Carter and smiled, the first genuine smile. "In many months," the lead envoy continued, "the exile is lifted, your titles and honor restored. From this day forward, the humans in Dalari will seek peace through understanding, not fear." Carter felt a warmth spread through him. He reached for Ilari's hand, their fingers intertwining naturally as they turned to leave. Ilari whispered, "We did it together." Outside, under the vast stars, a new chapter began. Months later, in a bright chamber filled with voices and laughter, Carter and Ilari stood before a gathering of humans and Dalari alike. Between them, a small child giggled, half human, half Dalari. With silver eyes that sparkled like her mother's, she held a tiny device, the new translator. But with a smile, she waved it aside and spoke clearly, "I can speak for both worlds." Carter and Ilari watched with pride and hope. Their journey had begun with a mistake, but it ended with a bond stronger than any law, a bond that proved love and trust could unite even the oldest enemies, and in the heart of the galaxy, two worlds found a future together. The end.